The morning sun rose over New Seoul like any other day. Children walked to school. Workers filled the streets. Coffee shops opened their doors. Nobody knew that in 3 hours, half of them would be dead. John Morrison sat on his small balcony, drinking tea and watching his daughter Hannah paint pictures in her room. She was only 8 years old, with bright eyes and a laugh that made him feel young again. After 30 years of war and violence as a general, she was his peace, his reason to wake up each morning. Far above Earth, Admiral Tae Kim stared at his screen aboard the orbital defense station. Something was wrong. The readings made no sense. Objects were appearing near Jupiter. Hundreds of them, then thousands. He called Chancellor Una Park immediately. His voice shook as he spoke. "Ma'am, we have contact. Unknown vessels. More than I can count." Chancellor Park was a calm woman. She had led Earth through difficult times. But even she felt fear when she saw the images. The ships were massive. Each one was larger than any city on Earth. They blocked out the stars as they moved closer. Within minutes, a message came. It was not in any human language, but somehow everyone understood it. The words appeared in their minds like a cold whisper. "You are the species called human. You have been judged. The Galactic Council has ruled that your kind is dangerous. You spread too fast. You think too differently. You must be removed. Do not resist. It will only bring more pain." Chancellor Park tried to respond. She sent messages of peace. She asked for talks. She begged for time. The council did not answer. Instead, the first ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The attack began in Asia. Beams of blue light fell from the sky like rain. Each beam destroyed everything it touched. Buildings turned to dust. People vanished in seconds. The sound was terrible. A low hum that made bones shake and ears bleed. John Morrison heard the explosions from his balcony. He saw the light in the distance. The cup fell from his hand and shattered on the floor. "Hannah!" he screamed. He ran to her room. She was standing at the window, her small face confused. "Daddy, what is that light?" Before he could answer, the world exploded. The beam hit the building next to theirs. The force threw Morrison across the room. Dust and fire filled his eyes. He could not breathe. He could not see. When he opened his eyes again, everything was broken. The ceiling had fallen. The walls were gone. He pushed himself up from the rubble, coughing blood. "Hannah!" His voice was raw. "Hannah, where are you?" He found her under a pile of concrete. Her small body was still. Her eyes were open, but saw nothing. The paint from her picture was still wet on her fingers. John Morrison held his daughter and screamed. It was not a human sound. It was the cry of something breaking inside, something that would never be fixed. Around the world, the story was the same. Cities fell. Armies fought and died. The human weapons did almost nothing against the alien shields. Fighter jets crashed into invisible walls. Missiles exploded before they reached their targets. Admiral Tae Kim fought until his station was destroyed. He managed to send one final message to Earth. They are too strong. Find another way. They. Chancellor Park was moved to an underground bunker. She watched the death counts rise on her screens. 1 billion. 2 billion. The numbers climbed so fast, they stopped meaning anything. In New Seoul, John Morrison finally stood up. He laid Hannah's body gently on the ground and closed her eyes. His hands were covered in her blood. His heart was empty. He walked through the burning streets. People ran past him, screaming. Some begged him for help. He did not stop. He could not stop. There was something pulling him forward. He found a military outpost near the edge of the city. The soldiers there had stopped fighting. They sat on the ground with empty faces. Their weapons lay beside them. Useless. A young captain named Wu Kang looked up when Morrison approached. He saw an old man covered in dust and blood, with eyes that burned like cold fire. "Who are you?" Wu asked. "I am John Morrison. I was a general once." Wu laughed bitterly. "A general? What good is a general now? They have ships that eat our missiles. They have weapons we cannot understand. We are finished." Morrison looked at the young man for a long moment. Then he looked at the sky, where alien ships moved like dark clouds. "I lost my daughter today," Morrison said quietly. "She was 8 years old. She liked to paint flowers." Wu said nothing. "What could anyone say? They think we are weak." Morrison continued. "They think we will break and beg. They have conquered many worlds. They know how species die." He turned back to Wu, and something in his eyes made the young captain stand up straight. "But they do not know humans. They do not know what we become when we have nothing left to lose." Wu stared at him. "What can we do?" "We have nothing," Morrison smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had already accepted death and found freedom in it. "We have hate. We have memory. And we have time. Get me to their command ship." Wu thought the old man was crazy. But something in Morrison's voice made him believe. For the first time since the attack began, he felt something other than despair. He felt hope. Small and fragile, like a candle in a storm, but real. "How?" Wu asked. Morrison picked up a weapon from the ground and checked it. "Find me a team. People who are not afraid to die. People who want revenge. We are going to teach these aliens something they have never learned." "What is that?" Morrison looked toward the horizon, where fires burned and ships hovered like hungry animals. "Fear." And so it began. Not with an army, not with great weapons, but with one broken man who refused to kneel. The galaxy would learn that humans were not like other species. They did not accept their fate. They fought back. 3 days after the attack, the Galactic Council expected Earth to surrender. They had done this many times before. The pattern was always the same. First came shock, then came grief, then came acceptance. Every species they had conquered followed this path. Humans did not follow the path. In the ruins of New Sol, John Morrison gathered his team. Captain Wu Kang had found volunteers. Not many. Just 3 others, willing to die for a chance at revenge. Sora Han was an engineer. She was 26 years old and had worked on satellite systems before the attack. She lost her entire family in the first wave. Now she had only her tools and her anger. Jin Choi was an intelligence officer. He was quiet and thin, with eyes that missed nothing. He had spent years studying signals from space, hoping to find friendly aliens. Now he used those skills to spy on the enemy. The 4th was a soldier named Dae Park. He was large and strong, built for fighting. He did not talk much. He did not need to. The scars on his face told his story. Morrison looked at his small team and felt something like pride. These were not special soldiers. They were ordinary people who chose to fight when fighting seemed impossible. "We need a ship," Morrison said. "An alien ship." Jin nodded. "I have been listening to their communications. They are careless. They think we are too primitive to understand their technology. There is a crashed shuttle near the old airport. The crew is dead, but the ship might still work. They moved at night, avoiding the alien patrols. The streets were full of bodies. The smell of smoke and death was everywhere. But they did not stop. They could not stop." The shuttle was smaller than Morrison expected. It looked like a curved piece of metal, smooth and without any visible doors. Sora walked around it slowly, touching the surface. "It responds to heat," she said, "and maybe to thought. Their technology is advanced, but it follows rules. Everything follows rules." She worked through the night and the next day. She did not eat. She barely slept. When Morrison told her to rest, she just shook her head. I will rest when they are dead. On the second night, the shuttle opened. A soft hum filled the air as lights came on inside. Sora smiled, for the first time since the attack. I understand it now, she said. Their ships are smart, but they are also simple. They expect commands from their masters. We just need to pretend to be masters. While Sora worked on the ship, things were happening across Earth. General Hyun Lee had survived the attack on the military headquarters. He was an old friend of Morrison, a man who had fought beside him in many wars. Hyun gathered the remaining soldiers and moved them underground. Bunkers that had been built for nuclear war now held the last hope of humanity. Factories hidden in mountains began to make weapons. In one of these bunkers, a scientist named Mina Yoon made a discovery. She had been studying pieces of alien equipment found in the wreckage. Their shields use a specific frequency, she told General Hyun. If we can match that frequency and reverse it, we can break through. Hyun looked at her with tired eyes. How long to build such a weapon? Weeks. Maybe months. We do not have months. Mina nodded. Then we work faster. Across the world, similar stories played out. In every country, in every city, humans refused to give up. They hid in sewers and caves. They built weapons from broken machines. Children learned to fight. Old people taught them how. The council noticed none of this. To them, Earth was already dead. They were simply cleaning up. This was their first mistake. Morrison's team flew the stolen shuttle into space. Sora had named it the Ghost, because it moved without being seen. Jin had cracked the alien communication codes, allowing them to hear enemy plans. Their main ship is called the Eternal Dominion, Jin reported. It is where the Grand Arbiter lives. He is the leader of the council. If we can reach him. We will reach him, Morrison said. Wu looked worried. And then what? We cannot kill him. We cannot fight our way out. What is the plan? Morrison was quiet for a moment. He thought about Hana, about her smile, about the way she called him Daddy. I am going to talk to him. Wu thought he had heard wrong. Talk? You want to talk to the creature that ordered our death? Yes. I want to look into his eyes. I want him to see what he has created. I want him to understand what is coming. What is coming? Morrison's eyes were cold. Us. The ghost slipped past enemy patrols like a shadow. Jin had programmed fake signals that made them look like a council ship returning from patrol. No one stopped them. No one even looked. They approached the Eternal Dominion. It was bigger than anything Morrison had ever seen. It could hold 1 million soldiers. Its weapons could destroy planets. It was a city floating in space, built to inspire fear. Morrison was not afraid. There. Jin pointed to a spot on the ship's hull. A waste disposal port. Big enough for our shuttle. They will not expect anyone to enter through garbage. Sora laughed. Perfect. The shuttle docked without trouble. The team put on masks to breathe the alien air. They carried weapons. But Morrison knew the weapons were mostly useless. Remember, he told them, we are not here to fight. We are here to deliver a message. Stay alive. Get out if you can. But the message must be delivered. Wu grabbed Morrison's arm. What message? Morrison smiled that cold smile again. I am going to tell the Grand Arbiter what happens next. I am going to tell him about the future. A future where his council burns and humanity rises. How do you know this future? Morrison thought about Earth. About the people hiding in bunkers, building weapons, refusing to die. About Hyun and Mina and millions of others who chose to fight. Because I know my people. And my people do not surrender. The team moved into the ship. Behind them, Earth kept fighting. Above them, the stars waited to see what would happen next. The war had just begun. The inside of the Eternal Dominion was cold and dark. The air tasted like metal. Strange sounds echoed through the halls, like whispers in languages no human had ever spoken. Morrison led his team through narrow passages meant for waste and machines, not people. They crawled through spaces tight enough to crush them. They walked through rivers of alien garbage. They did not complain. They had work to do. Jin held a small device that showed a map he had stolen from enemy systems. The throne chamber is in the center of the ship. We need to pass through 12 sectors to get there. End quote. 3 started. End quote. End quote. Security? Morrison asked. Heavy. Thousands of guards. Dozens of species. Each one stronger than us. Sora grinned. Then we do not fight. We make them look the other way. She connected to the ship's systems through a small hole in the wall. Her fingers moved fast over her tools. Within minutes, alarms began to sound across the ship. Not near them. Far away. On the other side of the massive vessel, fire in Sector 7, Jin reported, listening to enemy communications. They are sending guards to check. Also, I told them there is a hull breach in Sector 12. That should keep them busy. They moved quickly through the chaos Sora had created. Guards ran past them without looking. The aliens were confused. Nothing like this had ever happened on their perfect ship, but they could not avoid all contact. In a narrow hallway, they met 3 alien soldiers. The creatures were tall and covered in gray scales. They had 4 arms and eyes that glowed red in the darkness. The aliens saw the humans and froze. They were surprised. They did not expect to find prey here. Daypark moved before they could react. He was fast for such a big man. His knife found the throat of the first alien. Wu shot the second with a weapon they had taken from the crashed shuttle. Morrison killed the third with his bare hands, using skills he thought he had forgotten. They hid the bodies and kept moving. How much further? Morrison asked. Close, Jin said. But the throne chamber is guarded by the best soldiers in the galaxy. We cannot fight through them. And Morrison nodded. He had expected this. Then I go alone. Wu started to argue, but Morrison stopped him. Listen to me. Sora, I need you to plant charges in the reactor core. Can you find it? Sora checked her map. Yes. But if those charges explode, the whole ship dies. I know. Morrison pulled a small device from his pocket. This is a dead man switch. If I release it, the charges explode. If my heart stops, the charges explode. If anyone tries to take it from me, the charges explode. The team understood. This was not a mission to survive. This was a message written in fire. Give me 1 hour, Morrison said. Then get to the shuttle and leave. Do not wait for me. Wu wanted to protest, but he saw the look in Morrison's eyes. The old man had made peace with death long ago. Yes, sir, Wu said quietly. They split up. Sora and Jin went toward the reactor. Wu and Day went back toward the shuttle to prepare for escape. Morrison walked alone toward the center of the ship. He did not try to hide anymore. He walked openly through the halls. Guards saw him and did not know what to do. A human? Here? Walking freely? It made no sense. Some tried to stop him. He killed them quickly and kept walking. Others just watched, too confused to act. Finally, he reached the throne chamber. The doors were huge, made of some black material that seemed to eat light. 2 massive guards stood in front, each one twice his size. Morrison stopped and looked at them. Tell your master that John Morrison of Earth wants to talk. Tell him I carry the death of this ship in my hand. The guards laughed. At least, Morrison thought they were laughing. The sound was like rocks grinding together. You? A small creature from a dying world? You threaten us? Morrison held up the dead man switch. Check your reactor. You will find enough explosives to turn this ship into a star. This device keeps those explosives from detonating. If anything happens to me, your ship dies. The guards stopped laughing. One of them spoke into a device. A moment later, the great doors opened. The throne chamber was vast. Morrison had seen cathedrals that were smaller. The ceiling disappeared into darkness. Strange lights floated in the air, like captured stars. And at the far end, on a throne made of crystal, sat the Grand Arbiter. Vial was not like the other aliens. He was made of living crystal, his body constantly shifting and changing. Colors moved through him like thoughts. When he spoke, his voice came from everywhere at once. A human, here, in my chamber. How interesting. Morrison walked forward. Around him, warriors from a dozen species watched. Any one of them could kill him in seconds. None of them moved. I am John Morrison. You killed my daughter. Vial made a sound that might have been amusement. I have killed many daughters, many sons, many worlds. Why should yours matter? Because I am here, in your throne room, with the power to destroy your ship. Vial leaned forward. The crystals of his body caught the light like 1,000 knives. You think this frightens me? I have lived for 10,000 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. Your species is a moment, a breath. You will be forgotten. Ah. Morrison smiled. It was the smile of a man who had nothing left to lose. No. We will not be forgotten. You will remember us. Your children will remember us. For 1,000 generations, the name human will mean something to your people. And what will it mean? Morrison looked into the ancient creature's eyes without fear. Fear. He opened his hand slightly, letting Vial see the switch. The Arbiter's body flickered with colors Morrison did not understand. You would die too, Vial said. I am already dead. My heart stopped when my daughter stopped breathing. This body just has not caught up yet. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Grand Arbiter felt something he had forgotten. Uncertainty. What do you want, human? Morrison smiled. I want you to listen. Morrison stood before the Grand Arbiter and spoke. He did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. He simply told the truth. You have conquered 1,000 worlds. You know how species die. First they fight. Then they cry. Then they accept. Then they are gone. Vial nodded slowly. His crystal body reflected the dim light of the throne room. This is the way of things. It has always been so. Not with us. Morrison pulled a small device from his pocket. Not a weapon. A screen. Let me show you something. The screen came alive with images from Earth. Vial watched with growing confusion. He saw humans in the ruins of cities, building weapons from broken machines. He saw children carrying messages through war zones. He saw old men teaching young ones how to fight. He saw women with farming tools attacking alien soldiers and winning. He saw a factory hidden inside a mountain, producing thousands of weapons. He saw scientists working without sleep to crack alien technology. He saw soldiers who had lost everything choosing to fight one more day. You burned our cities, Morrison said. We moved underground. You killed our armies. We made new ones. You destroyed our technology. We built better. These are the struggles of insects, Vial said. But his voice was less certain now. Maybe. But insects can bring down giants, if there are enough of them. And there are billions of us left. Every single one is willing to die if it means hurting you. Morrison played another video. This one showed a council patrol ship exploding over what used to be Tokyo. Your ships have shields we cannot break. But last night, one of our scientists found a frequency that disrupts them. Just for a moment. Just long enough. Vial's body flashed with red light. Watch. More videos played. Council ships falling from the sky. Alien soldiers dying to weapons that should not exist. Human faces, dirty and bloody, smiling as they won impossible battles. This is happening right now, Morrison said. While you sit on your throne, your soldiers are learning what we already know. And what is that? That we do not give up. That we do not accept. That death is not the end for us. It is just the beginning of revenge. Far below, on Earth, General Hyun Lee gave the order for Operation Iron Dawn. It was the largest coordinated attack in human history. In every country, on every continent, humans struck at the same moment. They used Mina Yoon's frequency disruptors. For the first time since the invasion, alien shields flickered and failed. Missiles found their targets. Bombs brought down ships that had seemed invincible. Soldiers who had been hiding for weeks emerged and fought with fury. The aliens were not prepared. They had grown careless. They had thought the war was already won. They were wrong. In the throne room, Vale watched reports flood in from Earth. His fleet was taking losses. Not enough to defeat them, but enough to hurt. Enough to surprise. This changes nothing, Vale said. We will send more ships. More soldiers. We will burn your planet until nothing lives. Morrison shook his head. You could, but you will not. Why? Because you are not alone in this galaxy. He pulled up more information on his screen. Communications his team had intercepted. Secret messages between species that hated the Council, but had been too afraid to speak. The Norrens contacted us yesterday. They want to help. They are tired of living under your shadow. Viel's colors shifted rapidly. The Norrens were a powerful species. Their support would change everything. The Belkari reached out this morning. They have resources. Ships. Safe places for our refugees. You lie. I do not need to lie. The truth is enough. Your empire is built on fear. But fear only works when everyone is scared. When one species stands up, others find their courage. Morrison smiled coldly. You made a mistake when you attacked us. Not because we are strong, but because we are loud. The whole galaxy is watching Earth right now. They see humans fighting. They see humans winning. And they are starting to think that maybe the Council is not so powerful after all. Number 5. 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 On the Eternal Dominion, crew members from different species whispered to each other. They had heard the stories. They had seen the images. Some of them remembered their own worlds, conquered long ago. Some of them felt something they had forgotten. Hope. Chancellor Una Park emerged from her bunker for the first time in weeks. She stood before cameras that broadcast to the whole world. People of Earth, we are still here. We are still fighting. And we are not alone anymore. Today, 2 species have joined our cause. More will follow. The universe is learning what we already knew. Humanity does not surrender. Ambassador Ara Shin, hidden in a secure location, began her work. She was a master of words, trained to find weakness and exploit it. Now she sent messages to every species in the Council. She did not ask them to fight. That would be too dangerous. She asked them simple questions instead. How long has the Council ruled your people? When was the last time you chose your own path? Are you happy? Small questions. Dangerous questions. Questions that planted seeds of doubt in minds that had not doubted for 1,000 years. Back on the Eternal Dominion, the standoff continued. Morrison held his dead man switch. Vale sat on his throne. Neither moved. What do you truly want, human? Viel asked finally. You cannot defeat us. Your planet is still burning. Millions of your kind die every day. I want you to remember this moment, Morrison said. I want you to remember that one human walked into your throne room and made you listen. I want you to remember that feeling in your chest. That cold weight. No, I feel nothing. Liar. Morrison stepped closer. You feel doubt. Maybe for the first time in your long life, you are wondering if you made a mistake. You are wondering what else we can do. You are wondering if we are really as weak as you thought. Vial said nothing. His silence was answer enough. That is what I want. That doubt. That fear. Let it grow. Let it spread to your council. Let every species in your empire see that you are not gods. You can bleed. You can fail. You can lose. Morrison turned to leave. The guards moved to stop him. Let him go, Vial commanded. The guards hesitated, then stepped back. Morrison walked toward the door. He paused at the threshold and looked back. We will meet again, Grand Arbiter. And next time, I will not come to talk. He disappeared into the darkness of the ship. Behind him, Vial sat alone on his throne, surrounded by the greatest power in the galaxy. And for the first time in 10,000 years, he was afraid. 6 months had passed since the invasion began. The galaxy had expected Earth to be empty by now. A dead rock, floating in space, forgotten by history. Instead, Earth was alive, scarred and bleeding, but alive. The Council fleet pulled back from Earth's orbit. Grand Arbiter Vale called it a strategic withdrawal. He said humans were contained and no longer worth the effort. Everyone knew the truth. The Council was retreating because they were afraid. Afraid of what humans had become. General Hyun Lee stood on the balcony of the new command center, watching the alien ships disappear into the darkness of space. Beside him stood Chancellor Yuna Park and Ambassador Ara Shin. Is it over? The Chancellor asked. No, Hyun replied. They will come back. Someday. Then we must be ready, Ara said. We must grow stronger. Find more allies. Build an empire of our own. The Chancellor nodded slowly. Where is Morrison? Hyun's face grew dark. He took a team and left 3 days ago. He would not tell me where he was going. But I can guess. Everyone. Morrison was going to finish what he started. The Council's homeworld was called the Seat of Stars. It was the oldest planet in their empire, the place where the 12 elder species had first united 10,000 years ago. No outsider had ever seen it. No invader had ever touched its soil. Until now, Morrison's team was smaller this time. Just him, Captain Wu Kang, and 4 of the best soldiers Earth had trained in the past 6 months. They flew a captured Council ship, using codes Jin Choi had stolen before his death in a raid 3 months ago. Jin had died smiling, knowing his work would open doors that should have stayed closed forever. The Seat of Stars was beautiful. Morrison had to admit that, even as he hated everything it stood for. Great towers of crystal rose into purple skies. Gardens floated in the air, filled with plants from 1,000 worlds. It was paradise built on the bones of conquered peoples. They landed in a restricted zone near the Great Assembly, where the Council held its meetings. Security was tight, but Morrison had learned much in 6 months. He had learned how to move like a ghost, how to kill without sound, how to become the thing that monsters feared. His team cut through the guards like water through sand. They reached the assembly chamber. In less than an hour, the 12 leaders of the Council sat in a circle, arguing about the human problem. They fell silent when the doors opened, and Morrison walked in. Covered in the blood of their guards, Vale was there, his crystal body flickering with shock. The other leaders were creatures of different shapes and sizes. Some had too many eyes. Some had no eyes at all. Some were made of flesh. Some were made of light. All of them were old. All of them were powerful. None of them had ever felt fear like this. John Morrison, Vale said. You dare come here? Morrison walked to the center of the circle. His team spread out behind him, weapons ready. I told you we would meet again. Did you think I was joking? One of the leaders, a creature made of living flame, spoke in a crackling voice. Kill him. Kill them all. Morrison held up his hand. In it was a small device, This is connected to bombs we placed on 17 of your council ships. If I drop it, they explode. If my heart stops, they explode. You know this trick already, Vial. Tell your friends. Vial nodded slowly. He speaks truth. I have seen what humans do. I. The flame creature hesitated. Good, Morrison said. Now listen. He walked slowly around the circle, looking at each leader. You burned our world. You killed our children. You thought we would break. You were wrong. He stopped in front of Vial. But I did not come here for revenge. Not today. The leaders were confused. This was not what they expected. Then why? Vial asked. Morrison reached into his coat and pulled out a small object. It was dirty and burned, but still recognizable. A toy. A small doll with yellow hair and blue eyes. Hana's doll. He placed it on the floor in front of the council. This belonged to my daughter. She was 8 years old when your soldiers killed her. She liked to paint flowers. She was afraid of the dark. She asked me every night if monsters were real. His voice was quiet, but it filled the chamber. I told her no. I told her there were no monsters. I was wrong. He looked at the council with eyes that had seen too much death. You are the monsters. You and everyone like you. You take and you destroy, and you call it order. You murder children and call it necessary. He kicked the doll gently toward Vial's feet. Keep this. Put it somewhere you will see it every day. And remember what you created when you attacked Earth. What did we create? Vial asked softly. Me. And millions like me. Humans who will never stop. Humans who will teach their children to hate you. Humans who will spread across this galaxy like fire, and everywhere we go, we will tell the story of what you did. Morrison turned to leave, then paused. You offered us reparations. Territory. Technology. We refused. Do you know why? Vial shook his head. Because we do not want your gifts. We will take what we need. We will build what we want. And every species we meet, we will show them this doll. We will tell them about Hana, and we will ask them, do you want to be ruled by the creatures who killed her? He walked toward the door. The council's power was built on fear, but you taught us something important. Fear can be turned around. Fear can be aimed. And now, Grand Arbiter, the fear points at you. He stopped at the threshold. If you ever come back to Earth, we will be waiting. Not as victims. Not as prey. As hunters. And we will not stop until every one of you pays for what you did. He walked out. The council sat in silence. Vial looked down at the small doll on the floor. It seemed so harmless, so innocent, so terrifying. 20 years later, the Terran Alliance stretched across 40 worlds. Humanity had become a force in the galaxy. Not the strongest, not the oldest, but the most determined. The Norans and Belkari had become close friends and partners. Other species, freed from council control, joined the new alliance. Together, they built something different. Something based on choice, not fear. John Morrison never took a position of power. He refused every offer, every title. Instead, he went home to New Seoul. He rebuilt his house. He planted a garden where Hana used to play. Every year, on the anniversary of the invasion, leaders from across the galaxy came to Earth. They stood before a great monument that held the names of everyone who died. Humans, Norans, Belkari, all who had fought for freedom. At the base of the monument, there was a small case made of crystal. Inside was a dirty, burned doll with yellow hair. And below it, carved in stone, were words that would last forever. They came to conquer. We chose to endure. And beside them, for Hana, and for all the children of Earth, John Morrison stood before this monument every year until he was too old to walk. Then he sat in a chair and watched others come to pay their respects. On the last day of his life, he sat alone as the sun set. He was 103 years old. His body was weak, but his mind was clear. "I am coming, Hana," he whispered. He closed his eyes, and somewhere in the stars, the galaxy remembered the man who had taught monsters to fear. The war was over, but the lesson would never be forgotten. Humanity endures.